welcome to Fourth Partner Energy's special series, Spotlight on Sustainability, the show where we bring the conversation that truly matters from the boardroom of businesses directly onto your smart screens. What are companies doing to combat climate change? How are they looking to accelerate their decarbonization goals? How are they prioritizing the physical and mental wellness of their employees? What are they doing to maximize impact in the communities they serve? All this and more directly from the decision makers of India's most sustainable businesses. In today's episode, we throw the spotlight onto a brand that probably needs no introduction. It's arguably present in 1 out of every 2 Indian households. How many of us have not really used Parachute coconut oil or Saffola's instant noodles? Well, I've already given away too much, throwing the spotlight onto India's homegrown FMCG giant, Marico. In conversation with Bipin Odhekar, Head of Sustainability at Marico Industries. Bipin, thank you so much for making time for Fourth Partner Energy in our special series, Spotlight on Sustainability.
Thanks, Nitya. Thank you.
Well, let me delve right into the big one in the room. When did ESG and sustainability actually begin to matter to Marico, so much so that today it's in the very ethos and DNA of the company's existence?
Well, the word sustainability probably has come very recently. But if you look at the ESG part of it or the special requirements or understanding of these elements, I think it was there in Marico from inception. Mm-hmm. Long back, we tried to draft it or try to define it in the way when we started defining our purpose, probably in 2008 or 9. And after defining that purpose, then we understood that it needs very focused interventions which you need to take at ground level. 2011, after the launch of NVG, we created our first task force, and from there the actual work started, and we started conceptualizing few things, what we can do for within our company, what we can do for our suppliers, what can be done at a larger society. And from there, the probably interventions would have started, and what you can see is an effort of last 1 decade.
Well said, Bipin, and clearly there has been no looking back for Marico since. But let me also ask you, very recently you launched something called the Sustainability 2.0 framework at Marico, right? Very clear short-term, long-term goals across key matrices. And what exactly prompted you to do something like that? Can you throw the spotlight for the benefit of our viewers on what exactly Sustainability 2.0 means to Marico?
When we are in 2022, we realized that in last 5 years, the world has changed. It has changed for Marico also, and then outside Marico, the understanding of sustainability has also been matured enough. So there are a lot of elements which got added, which are getting discussed, and then overall understanding of the subject is improved. So this is the time where we also thought that let's go back to the board, try to do a materiality analysis again, understand that are there more factors which are important for Marico, which we need to consider as our long-term horizon. And then after the initial dialogue with all the leadership team and internal members, we observed that there are 2-3 elements probably we need to add upon to our framework, and then which we can take it ahead. So earlier we had around 5 goals. So those goals will take it ahead as a long-term target for 2030. But apart from that, we also added a few goals which we felt that they are important in today's era. And then for that also we are going to create programs as we progress ahead. Just to give you an understanding, what are these goals? For any organization, I think when we talk about sustainability, first thing comes is in climate change. And then whether you are a steel company or an FMCG or IT, I think it is must and mandatory to work on a climate change. So our target we recently declared is we wanted to become net zero in our operations globally by 2040. In India, probably the progress will be quite fast, because we already are using 70% of our energy in renewable form. Second aspect of our long-term goals is on water. So 86% of of the raw materials what we procure, they are from agricultural produce, either direct agriculture material or maybe the derivatives of agriculture produce. So considering that, it is important to work for the farming community, and then water becomes an absolutely important element for them. I think everybody would understand that around 80% of the water in India is used for agricultural purpose.
Sure.
As we said that we need to understand that what is the current challenge in water system, and then we have to create water conservation capacities. Our third goal is a circular economy goal, where we are in circular economy, the concept, there is no concept of waste. You are supposed to use others' waste and then keep on rolling. And it also talks about how you can reduce waste by design. So we tried to map the entire opportunities throughout the life cycle of plastic. By design, can we reduce plastic, or can we change the design by optimizing the transportation part of it? Can we use recycled plastic in our system? Can you ensure that our current packaging is recyclable in nature? So there are various aspects of it. And then we considered, there are 9 parameters which we considered in circular economy. And for each of the parameter, we have identified a long-term target for it. One of them we recently declared is about ensuring the entire packaging in a recyclable form by 2025. Moving on to fourth goal, we have, I think you talked about parachute. Marico is the largest buyer of coconut in India. And then it is our moral responsibility, we consider, to work for the people who are working in the entire value chain of coconut. So we created a program on World Coconut Day, which is called as Kalpariksha. Kalpariksha is name of another name of the coconut. And the objective of this program is to develop sustainable agriculture. And then this, we started with coconut. We will probably work on the other areas also. The idea is that there are people who are trained on sustainable agriculture, and they will visit different farms and then help the farmers to improve the way they are doing farming. So it could be related to soil understanding, water management, pesticide management, or it could be disease understanding, etc. So by doing this, by doing agriculture in a sustainable way, it is expected that there is an improvement in the productivity of farm, and it should give definite higher remuneration to the farmer. Last internal studies, we observed that if you compare a controlled farmer where these practices are deployed and the farmer with traditional farming, there is a 15% improvement in the productivity what we have observed. It's very you can say a very pleasing signal to this initiative. The next important area is on responsible sourcing, because if you look at typical FMCG or auto sector, not every activity will happen in your factory. There are a lot of people who probably will also add value in the entire process. To just understand Marico's or any FMCG company's value chain, you have raw material vendors, you have packaging material, converters, logistic partners, and warehousing partners. So it is important that all these value chain partners understand what is sustainability, what is Marico's vision, what is expected out of them to participate into these programs. Created a program called as Samyut. It's a Sanskrit word, which is Sam is together, and then Yuti is coming together. So all coming together, because that's an idea. And then it is a 3-level program where we are ensuring that the entire supply chain understands this concept, and then they participate with this.
Absolutely, Bipin, you've hit the nail on its head. In a nutshell, that is pretty much why we conceptualized this show, right? To learn how to imbibe these simple practices. For example, what you've mentioned, right? Short-term, long-term, medium-term, clear-cut goals and targets, ways to get there, metrics to measure yourselves against constantly, and working together as a team. It probably is as simple as that when you talk about kickstarting any business's sustainability story. But let me just throw the attention onto another crucial program that you mentioned at Marico, the Kalpariksha or sustainable coconut farming, right? Now, a lot of naysayers out there indicate that as far as sustainability is concerned, it's only for the beefy companies who can afford the same, right? But here is an example of simple sustainable farming, which actually not just benefits the farmers, but also in a direct sense has an impact on the bottom line and increase in productivity. Talk to us about the study here and really what the Kalpariksha program is all about.
In fact, what I feel is that these kind of investments are strategic investments. So the program what we are running are not for our own suppliers. It's a CSR program, and there is no mandatory thing for these farmers to sell it to Marico, open to sell it to anyone, and we also do not buy from them. We buy from open market. The objective of the program is to work for the farming community, and as a nation, we should improve our productivity. That's the concept. So if you start doing strategic investments, normally what happens is that overall efficiency of the system increases, and everybody will get benefit because of these things. Otherwise, you work on the inputs or outputs which are related to your own program, probable opportunities or benefits are quite low. But if you look at the improving the efficiency of the system, probably everybody benefits, and then you are one of the winners.
We'll keep it with the environment, Bipin, but just shift gears a little bit to a topic that's very close to our hearts here at Fourth Partner Energy. As you are well aware, we are in the business of accelerating decarbonization across businesses, corporates and industries here in India and Southeast Asia. So for Marico, that happens to be a very key focus area as well, right? Reducing your carbon footprint. Talk to us really about the net zero goals you have globally. If I'm not mistaken, 2040 for the rest of the world and maybe even 2030, the likes of India, right? Can you talk to us in detail about the same?
So primarily our objective is to convert the entire energy into renewable, whether it is thermal or electrical.
Sure.
In thermal, I think probably we are using 98% of the thermal energy through agro-waste fuels for the heating purpose.
Sure.
So slowly from last 10 years, we have replaced all our boilers which were running from diesel. They are now working on the biofuels. And probably last whatever the 2% is there will get converted in next 2 years, and we can claim on 100%. Similarly, on electrical, I think electrical is something different and very complex area, because you have to start working on the energy reduction first. So try to optimize energy through process improvements, through the equipments which are highly efficient in energy management, etc. And once you are doing those things, parallelly start working on the energy resource. So whether you're buying traditionally from the electricity board, and then what are the opportunities you can look at for in-house solar or outsource energy or vendor, etc.
Yeah.
And each type of a channel has its own limitations and advantages. For example, if we have a refinery which is a continuous 24/7 industry or an oil mill, then you cannot rely only on solar because it has got limitation on the energy generation in a day. So you have to look for a 24/7 supply. So what we try to look at what kind of energy source is needed for the factory we are running in. This is that we are selecting it. Very happy to share with you that around 70% of the energy is coming from renewable sources as of now. And one of our unit in Perendurai in southern part of India, Tamil Nadu, is a carbon neutral unit. And we have a target to go for at least another 2 units in next 5 years. And maybe by 2030, we should go for a complete neutrality for all operations in India.
Very interesting to note here, Bipin, you did mention a key challenge faced by companies like yourself, right? Which is, even though there is intent, you cannot rely entirely on renewables, wind or solar alone, because certain manufacturing and refining processes require 24/7 electricity, and there is the intermittency issue in renewables. But these are the kind of problems that we are looking to address here at Fourth Partner Energy, right? Today, there is the technology and probable solutions on paper, whether it's wind, solar, hybrid, coupled with battery storage, how to provide round-the-clock renewables to companies like yourselves, because a lot of clients are coming to us and asking the same thing, right? They don't want to just procure renewable energy, but they want to entirely switch to RE100. So while there is intent and while we are able to figure out the solution on paper, the big challenge remains policy to a certain extent, right? How is policy the key, enabler when it comes to bridging what the companies want and what developers can provide? Do you believe that is actually regulation and policy which will have a key role to play going ahead as far as India's renewable energy story is concerned?
Of course, policy is one of the important point whenever you're talking about renewable energy. And definitely, we also face some of the issues. See, what normally happens, there are three types of issues in using renewable energy. So, if first two are related to your own infrastructure, I'll talk about them first and then we'll go to the third. See, what happens is that every state will have different policy. Although we have a central policy or a central ministry, but states are allowed to basically take the rules based on their understanding or the way they would like to have. There's nothing wrong to it, but what happens is that it creates certain constraints. So these constraints may not allow you to go for 100%, or there could be a cap on the capex, or there could be cap on the overall percentage you can buy from outside. There could be certain rules which may not allow you for net metering. So there are certain uncertainties which are associated to those things, because ultimately you need to understand that solar generation is for a certain time frame. And it will continue to happen. Well, if tomorrow you have a holiday or your plant is not working, it will still happen. You need to understand that how it can be made more productive, so that whatever the infrastructure or assets which are built by an organization, there should be 100% utilization to it, and there's a benefit to the organization. Only companies will invest, whether it's an OPEX or CAPEX. So that kind of policy changes are probably required. I think there is a positive move happening in this area, which I could see with the latest notifications which are released by government. And a lot of support probably will also come from government, because India launched 2070 net zero target. I'm hopeful that because of those things, a lot of things will drive and will be helpful to you and companies also. The third thing is something different, which I'm talking about, is you need to understand more than 75% of the industries are SMEs and MSMEs in India. These people may not have equivalent credit rating as bigger organizations. And it is important that, because they also participate in energy consumption to a huge extent. And if you wanted to convert all these people, small vendors or medium capacity vendors, to that, then we need to look at what can be done to improve the credit rating, or to create such kind of systems and processes, or maybe law where they can also get benefited because of these things, and they will also move to a renewable energy. Then probably at national level, we can definitely say that the industry can definitely shift to an renewable energy.
Bipin, let me just shift that lens to another crucial E, the employees aspect of business, right? For a company like Marico that does not have presence in India alone, but an international one, how are you looking at prioritizing mental and physical health and wellness of employees? What does inclusivity and diversity really mean to the firm?
Actually, diversity is a very large and very broad concept. Gender can be only one single component to it. Okay, so it's important to understand that the diversity comes from ethnicity, it comes from thought diversity, it comes from geography, it comes from age, it can come from probably there are different ways to look at diversity. More objective to focus on diversity is that you are able to address each and every person, because each and every person is a different person altogether. How to ensure that whatever the strengths of that person are there, those are taken into consideration in an organization. And how and inclusivity is all about engagement, probably how the person feel inclusive, how the person feels that is comfortable in delivering for the organizational benefit. So it's important to understand people as they are, their needs, and create systems and procedures or programs so that those needs can be catered.
Bipin Odhekar, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this special episode of Spotlight on Sustainability. Thank you once again for making time for Fourth Partner Energy and joining us on this series.
Thanks for the kind words.
For all our viewers who are just tuning in, Remember, the Spotlight on Sustainability series is live on our website. You can access it across our LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter channels as well. Keep your likes, comments and feedback coming in, and do tune in just a couple of days' time for another brand new episode of Spotlight on Sustainability. Goodbye and thanks for watching.